Today, I'm reacting to Sylvester Stallone's watch collection.
This is the watch that started it all for me. It's called the Logo, Panerai logo. I did a film called Daylight, and it was going to be the toughest film ever. And I wanted to wear a watch in the film that no one had ever seen.
I'm more interested in what he has on his wrist than what he's currently talking about.
Then I saw in the corner these boxes stacked up. I go, what is that? He goes, it's one of our watches. You know, they used it in the military. I go, can I look at it? Sure. I open it up and boom, this comes out and it was almost like a golden glow. I said, this watch is a star. This watch is a star. I asked him, I said, has anyone ever worn these watches in a film? He goes, no, I don't think so, no. I said, I'm taking it. So I strapped this on my wrist that day, and I didn't take it off to the end of filming. I wore it in the movie, and immediately it started to catch on. And then right after that, Arnold Schwarzenegger started wearing it. I went, Jesus, can I have anything that's my own? And it became very, very, very popular, and people started seeing this extraordinary shape and what it could do, and I said, my God, this watch has been underwater and through hell, and it's just still gorgeous. I mean, really, this thing has been through it. Just watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. It was a tough shoot.
It's actually very funny because that is the first Panerai that was ever featured in a film. Sylvester Stallone wearing this watch in Daylight made this watch become very popular. Even an entire cult started around Panerai called the Paneristi, and the Paneristi was the first real watch forum. Why am I wearing these gloves? My fingers are sweating.
I wanted something different for the last Expendables, something incredibly unique, and this certainly is. So I called Richard Mille and I said, hey, what do you think? And he goes, really? I go, absolutely. He goes, well, it's a very high-end watch. For a mercenary, I go, they're very successful mercenaries. He can afford it. So we sent it over, and I wore it, and we used the red straps in there. It's so obvious and so extraordinary in the film. People were constantly mentioning this watch. I think it got more attention than I did after the film. It just was a star. This one served me well and has been through hell. All those battle scenes, all those extraordinary stunts, this is what I was wearing.
Sylvester Stallone is a hell of a f***ing salesman, but I don't think that anyone f***ing noticed that watch. I think that you're trying to sell that watch, which is perfectly fine because that's indeed what you should say when you try to sell a watch, Mr. Stallone. Well done.
This is a truly amazing watch. We call it the Skull Watch for obvious reasons. It's an unbelievable piece. Every time I wear this watch, people, my God, how is it possible you have a tourbillon behind the skull? I said, because Richard Mille's a genius, that's why.
It's not truly amazing or truly difficult to put a tourbillon behind a skull. Behind a shape of a dial, I could make anything. I could make a penis, I could make a sheep. Basically, I could put my head on there and then put a tourbillon behind it. Now, the tourbillon itself is a very complication, right? But it's just a skull, mate. It's all right. I hate these gloves. Okay. Keep your f***ing gloves to your f***ing self, you f***ing bastard. Oh. Listen, it's a cool watch. I'm jealous, right? Because I would love to have that watch. I'm not gonna lie. He makes a statement that it's very complicated to make a tourbillon behind the skull. No, it's as complicated as making a tourbillon in general. It doesn't matter what's in front of it. It's not that complicated.
I wanted this watch so badly, and they said, well, they're pretty much gone.
You put a skull on a watch worth 400,000 US dollars. Unexpected and therefore controversial and probably in demand.
So I ended up contacting Richard Mille himself. He found the last one.
Yeah, let me call him as well. Like, Richard, you wee cunt. Do you have any skulls for me? Yeah. Get the f***. Why can Sylvester have a f***ing watch with a f***ing skull and I can't get that?
I've had a good time with it, and now it's time for someone else to wear it with pride. And this is the Skull Watch.
My question would be, would you ever pay that amount of money for a watch with a skull?
This watch was designed by Richard Mille on the basis of speed. It's named after a world-class sprinter. And I have to say that this watch is probably the only watch that looks like it's moving when it's standing still, the Johann Blake. I mean, it looks fast. It's like an animal. And I said to Richard, I go, what are these lines here, right? And he goes, it's when a sprinter comes out, his fingers It's like so. Isn't that incredible?
I've seen the reserve of the auction on this watch because I'm actually going to be very active on this auction. I'm not going to be active with any form of Sylvester Stallone's watches, but certain pieces my clients and myself are very interested in. This is a watch that has an estimation of 500,000 US dollars and represents the fingers of a sprinter I have never heard of.
So literally, this watch has a sprinter's movement. I wore it one time, and I guess it was photographed. 6 months later, I went to Europe, and literally I walked into a restaurant, and the maitre d' goes, "Oh, I thought you would wear the Johann Blake that I saw in the newspaper."
Johann Blake has 11.5k subscribers. Richard Mille, we deserve an RM named after us, with my fingers, or something else controversial. Drop your suggestions in the comments.
This is a real piece of engineering. This is the RM025. Richard said he was going to design this based on action movies, Rambo, Jungle, for explorers, men of action, soldiers of fortune, things that, in other words, outdoors.
This RM025 has storage compartments and all sorts of things. It's absolutely insane. Pointless, like.
This watch is amazing. Opens up. There it is. Incredible. And then it just keeps going.
You can close it and you can open it and then you can close it and you can open it and you can then close it, and then it's so handy because when you close it you can't see the time. Wow, what a watch.
It has places for quinine pills, compasses. In other words, you would have to be a real amateur to get lost in the jungle with this watch, okay? If you can't find your way out with this, then don't go to the jungle. This is an amazing watch. It's the Rambo of watches.
I have a very controversial opinion about this because Paul Newman's actual Daytona was sold and went to auction. Something incredibly special, but also the importance of Paul Newman and the importance of that particular watch. It all came together perfectly. Now, Phillips is trying to do something quite similar with Sylvester Stallone, but the difference is Sylvester Stallone is not Paul Newman. It's not going to be a collector's item just solely because it was owned by Sylvester Stallone. I mean, Sylvester Stallone is a huge figure, but he's not a Paul Newman. They're not worth significantly more because they were previously owned by Sylvester Stallone. I like Sylvester, you're a good lad, when are we going for a pint? But that's not going to be worth significantly more. Although you get a handwritten letter with that, I mean, mate, I'll probably see you on Cameo in about a year anyway.